Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Chris Jaquez, and this is your best life defined. Let me ask you a question. I think it's Hump Day Wednesday. Are you getting a win? How's it feel? How's it feel? How's it feel for you to be waking up to this thing you've created for yourself? That's you kind of running low on gas. You got another 15 years before you get the house paid off, 20 years before you get the house paid off, 40 years before you retire, maybe even longer than that. Check your fuel gauge. The fuel needle on your gauge is like completely. It's in the red, right? You got that red light going on in your life where you're running barely on enough fuel to keep you going. It's not funny, but it is kind of funny because we look around and we see all of these people who are doing exactly the same thing as we are, right? And they're older than us, and we see exactly where it takes us or where it's taken them. And of course, if you're on that same path, that's where you're going. And it's like this struggle for us to just stop. We can't even stop. There are so many things pushing in on us that tell us, hey, you got to have this, you got to have that, right? How do you just stop? And more than that, how do you find the energy to push past it, to do something more than you're doing now? That's the burden. I keep talking about living your best life and do this and do that. And of course, I'm looking at it, and from my perspective, it just seems logical, right? But it's coming from someone who's already involved in it, who's got the win already. I've already won. I'm winning at this game called life, right? And so I throw this out at you, and I'm kind of understanding it. See, I think that's what happens when you figure it out. I think that's what happens when you figure out you start looking at it from your perspective, and you lose sight of who you're talking to. And when it comes to putting fuel in your tank, no matter where you are, you need to get a win. It starts with getting some sort of win in your life and repeating that action. And a win for this application would be anything you can do to inspire you, to be energized, to be excited about some aspect of your day. And did you say I shortened it up? I'm shortening it up from your life just simply to today, to this moment right here, right? Take a minute and think about, what can I do? What can I do that is going to give me some energy, that's going to excite me, that's going to give me some positive outlook, give me a new direction for my life, right? That's a win. Anytime you get a win, you go hip, hip, hooray, yeah, hell yeah. Kind of like me throwing discs at a basket. I've got a portable disc basket, and I go out, depending on where we're at, some places like in Florida, disc golf isn't real big in Florida, and their disc golf courses, I'm not impressed with the ones I've seen, but I keep this disc basket with me. And what's funny is I'll be 30 yards from the basket, and I'll just throw those discs and throw those discs. And I might throw 100 times before I hit one, right? Before I hear those chains clank. And what's amazing about that is that moment, that win, hitting that basket at that distance, even if it's about the odds. It's just, you're going to throw enough discs, you're going to hit something, right? No matter what effort goes into that win, once I hit that basket, once I make a disc in that basket, all of that effort fades away, and it's just about being there, right? It's about winning, about hitting my mark, right? And what does it do? Well, it fuels me. It adds fuel to my tank. It energizes me. It makes me want to do it again. And what's cool about that is the attitude that comes with a win. I'm not feeling all sad because I threw it 99 times and didn't make it, and the 100th time I threw it, I made it. The only thing I'm focused on, hell yeah, I made it. I can do that again. I made it once in 100 throws. Maybe I can make it in 50 this time. Those are wins. And when you're thinking about where you're at in your life, because let's face it, you're not waking up all energized and excited about all the crap you have to do. If you're honest with yourself, think about the number of things you're going to face today that suck. All right, they suck. It sucks to deal with the office politics. It sucks to drive and to fight traffic. There's a lot of things about your life. I think when I look back at the life I used to live, the one thing that used to just drive me nuts, or I just couldn't seem to escape for the longest time, was that pressure. You know, that, what next? It's like you're being drugged down the road by your nose. You know, I got to do this and I got to do that. And there's nothing wrong with that. The idea of being busy as hell. There's nothing wrong with waking up with hitting your feet hitting the ground and you're running like a bat out of hell from the time you get up till the time you go to bed. But think about how today is going to go for you. Think about how tomorrow is going to go for you. Where in those 2 days, where in the future are you going to be able to say, yeah, I got to win. We're winning at this, right? If you're not winning, then why are you playing? That's kind of a point. And see, that's where this all gets confusing. So the reason you need to win is because you don't have any fuel in your tank. Think about it. Let me tell you something. So let me tell you this right now. Pick something in your life that you want to do. Pick something amazing, like do a podcast or write a book or do something like that. What's stopping you from not taking that action? It's not the desire. There are probably a million things that go through your head in the course of an average day regarding things you want to do. You want to go on amazing vacations. You dream about being rich or about having no money issues, not having to deal with bills, right? There's all kinds of dreams that float around in our heads, right? Where we fail to take action is that there's no fuel in our tank. There's barely enough fuel in our tank to manage the things we do. Think about it. You roll out of bed at 5 or 6 in the morning. You boom, boom, boom through your day. By the time you get home at 6 at night, all you want to do is sit down, have a beer, watch some TV, and forget about life for a few hours, right? And now this energy about, okay, now I'm going to be an artist. Now I'm going to be a writer. Woo! It's because there's no wins. How many days will you go in a row without a win? I'm talking about without something in your life where you say, hell, that was cool. Hell, that was let's do that again, right? And the mistake that a lot of people make is that we believe there's this idea in our head based on the marketing that it has to be something amazing to the world. The standard for success is not defined by ourselves, it's defined by the world according to the ads we watch. This is how you're happy. This is what success looks like. It's the big house, it's the fancy car, it's the money. But wins are a lot simpler than that. And they have a lot more impact the closer they are to who you are. Just like when I throw that disc. I don't think about anything else except for woo, how it feels to me. Sometimes I'll get in my head about how great I am at throwing disc, and of course, usually I'm at a park, so there's people watching, and I don't know if you're picking this up, but I love being on stage. I love being in front. I love talking to people. I love an audience. I guess that's part of the appeal to showing up here. And I guess in a way, it's motivation, it's fuel that I get to put in my tank because I'm inspired by the idea that at some point someone's going to say, hey. Oh, and by the way, guess what? Someone already did. I've been posting my stuff to LinkedIn, and I get this message from someone I don't know. She wants to connect with me, and she says, thanks. I just want to say thank you for what you do. It's amazing. I'm listening to your podcast, and I'm following some of the steps, and it's starting to work for me. Thank you. I'm like, oh, yeah, I got one. It's like catching fish, right? Catching fish. The only difference with this is, unlike everyone else, it seems like, now, pardon me, there's probably people out there that are just doing it because they want to help people, but it's funny because everyone else in the world seems to want something. And we're not suspicious of those people, but when someone like me shows up and I say, hey, listen, let me just give you this because my life is really amazing and I want to share it with you, people get all weirded out. They're like, well, what's he want? And of course, my friends, hey, friends, thank you for supporting me. Those of you who listen to me, but the majority of people who know me, they're like, nah, they don't take it serious yet. But watch, you will. Because this is a win. I get a win every day I walk away from a podcast and I feel like I've actually made a difference in someone's life. And even when that doesn't happen, even when my inbox isn't filled up with thank yous for changing their lives, just the idea that I've managed to continue with such consistency to execute regardless of how I feel about it, regardless of the burden I face in my life. I've instituted this into a part of my life every day. That's a win in itself, right? So let's bring it back to you. What is success? Success is basically having the ability to continually execute regardless of how you feel about it until you reach an eventual outcome. That is what success is. It is the ability to execute. What does it take to do that? Well, it's motivation. It's motivation. I have all kinds of motivations in my head. I lie to myself all the time about why I show up here, why this is important. And in my mind, there are days when I think, if I don't do this, the world's going to fall apart. Is that ridiculous? No. The point is, does it get me the win? Does it get me to take that action? Does it put fuel in my tank so that I can actually show up every day and say, hell yeah, I did it again. This is cool. I love this. I'm going to do this, right? Now, bringing this story back around to you, let's talk about how do you get a win? What's a win for you? Well, a win would be any moment in your day that's better than every other moment in your day. A win would be any moment in your day where you walk away from that experience or that interaction or whatever that thing is, and you're like, hell, I want to do that again. That was cool. That was cool. I remember I worked at the federal prison for 23 and a half years, and there were a lot of parts about working in a prison that sucked. And I remember we planned a retreat for our department. We went to a campground in Colorado, and we just kind of hung out for the day, and it was close to where the prison was, but it was kind of a refreshing opportunity to get to know the people I work with. It was an opportunity to break out and be rewarded for all of the hard work and some of the struggles we face when you work in a prison, right? When you think about your win, the first thing you have to do is define what would give you that feeling. That feeling where you're like, all right, this is cool. Maybe that knot in your stomach because you're not sure about doing an obstacle course, or you're not sure about going out rock climbing, but it's something you've talked about, or maybe it's this. Maybe you've got some sort of desire to set up on a public platform and try and help people. Maybe you want to be a preacher. I don't know. But it's even simpler than that. Anything that leaves you feeling, hell yeah, that was good. Hell yeah, that puts energy in your tank and gets you excited about life, about the possibilities that you haven't experienced yet, is a win. And without that process, by starting that process, if you fail to start that process, you never have enough fuel in your tank to push past the endurance it takes for you to add something else to your life that will eventually make it better. It takes fuel for you to do. Imagine living your life right now, and all of a sudden the decision is made for you that you will also attend school 4 nights a week. The reason you're not doing that on your own is because there's no fuel left in your tank for that. I don't have the time to go to school. I don't have the time and the energy to be studying. I don't have the money. When it really comes down to it, you don't have the fuel. You don't have the motivation. In order to get that, you have to get a win. And of course, the win is about doing something that inspires you and gets you excited again. Because if you're not excited and headed in a new direction, basically you're sitting still in life. You're at that 50% mark on the positive and negative scale, right? Positive, you're moving towards something. You're excited about something. You're driven to do something more with your life. Sure, it's tough. You're tired. Life is hard. You don't ever have enough money or time. But there's this thing that inspires you, and when you do it, even when you struggle, the vision of where you're going is so great that you just can't help yourself. You just have to get up and do it again. A win could be you taking the time to talk to your partner, saying, hey, listen, 3 days a week, we're going to take a walk. We're going to walk it doesn't have to be a long time. You can walk for 30 minutes. Just walk around your block. And if you haven't been connected, if you're not connected with your partner and your relationship is kind of waning, you might spend a certain amount of time or the first portion of that not feeling like a winner. I remember when Sandy and I first started walking, our story is that I've always been busy doing things. I've always had another sideline, right? We started walking, and for the first 2 months, I was a listener. And I listened to her talk about all the things she'd like to change in our life and all the things that I was doing that wasn't helping that. But eventually those walks turned into wins, because eventually we got on the same page and we got all the poison spit out, all that stuff that had built up inside us about what our partners, what she had done, what I had done, right? And when we started talking about what could be, that's when the energy came. That's when the fuel started just pouring into our tank, because all of a sudden we realized all our potential, all the true potential we had forgotten about. It was a win. It was a win. I get a win every day. Every time I do anything that I'm afraid of, anytime I do anything that I love to do, it's a win, because it inspires me to look at my life and say, okay, what else? That's where it starts. And part of it requires us to disconnect from all of the noise just long enough for us to spend time in our own head, to spend time thinking about who we are, and where we want to be. Maybe you just need to go fishing. Maybe you just need to play a round of golf. Maybe you just need to take the day off and go get with your person and say, hey, let's go for a drive. Let's go see something we haven't done, right? But part of this hard work, it's futile for you to work hard day after day with no reward. The sad part is that once we get pinned down financially, and once our time is consumed to its utmost limit, to where we have nothing left, right? What do? Our rewards are going out and eating. And then what happens? We get home and we're all distended, and the food wasn't as good as we thought, and it was way overpriced, and we're thinking, God, that was a waste of time. So even in those moments, it's not a win. Go get a real win for yourself. Do something for yourself today that will inspire you and allow you to reconnect with what is possible in your life. Because that's the only way you're going to move forward, is when you fill your tank up with that energy and the inspiration that comes from doing things that are connected to you. If you look at all your choices, they're probably not connected to you. Sure, it's the narrative, it's the story that you're following, it's the story that you believe. The question you have to ask yourself is, how does it leave you feeling? How does it make you feel? You wake up every day excited, energized, willing to do stuff other people won't do, willing to fail? Or are you waking up every day just wishing the day was done? I don't know, guys. It's never too late. It's never too late. And I'm not stopping, and you shouldn't either. Grab the paddle on that boat. You're sitting in your pond called your life. Grab that, row somewhere, push something down, experience something that will scare the hell out of you. Experience something that will motivate you, to get you inspired to step outside your box and find something to be inspired about, so you can put some fuel in your tank. Imagine what it would be like to be debt-free. Imagine what it would be like to be back in love with your partner like you were when you first met, that knot in the stomach anticipation when they call, right? Believe me, it happens. It doesn't happen in exactly the same way, but it happens. And I'm telling you that because I'm living it. There's nothing better than sitting down and having a conversation with my wife, my best friend, right? That's a win for me. Seeing my kids grow and achieve the things they achieve in their life. That's a win. That reminds me every day that no matter where I am, there's some place I can be. There's more to do. Get a win. Get a win. Find something in your life that makes you want to move, that makes you excited about this opportunity called living. Because I guarantee you, no matter where you are, no matter what you accomplish in your life, it's going to end. And the last thing you want to do is wake up at the end of your life and look back and be full of regret. Oh man, I wish I'd have listened to him. So, I don't know, just my thoughts, my ideas. I'm just one guy trying to change the world. That's all. Don't want anything from you, trying to give you something. I hope it's helping. Thank you for the follows. Thank you for the likes. More than that, thank you for those of you who have reached out to me and said, hey, listen, it's working. Thank you, Lillian, by the way. Few of you, right? There's a long list, and I'll start making a list, but there's a lot of people. Teresa, thank you for sharing, for jumping in and saying, hey, it works, right? So keep that in mind. Get inspired. Feel inspired about something in your life so it puts fuel in your tank, and then go after it, because you're not done. You'll never be done until you decide to quit doing it, right? So keep that in mind. Let's not forget the kindness. And as always, just remember, today's your day. Make it a good one.